The woman was shocked to find that her husband, who had been missing for 7 years, suddenly returned. So she glanced at her 6-year backup boyfriend and hurried to flee into the house. Then she took out her husband's photo that had long been covered with dust and placed it neatly. Seeing that everyone was about to arrive, the woman quickly tidied up her messy clothes. Subsequently, she carefully led her son out of the house. At the sight of her husband, who had not been home for years, mixed feelings of familiarity and strangeness welled up in her heart. The woman couldn't believe her eyes and stood there dumbfounded. Suddenly, the dog behind her kept barking, seemingly not recognizing the man in front of her. At the welcome dinner in the evening, Jack told everyone about his experiences in the army, while his wife Laurel secretly observed her husband's every move. At the same time, Oren, who had been for 6 years in vain, also came to greet with false sincerity, watching the woman who was about to be his slip away. A seed of hatred took root in Oren's heart. After everyone left, the couple walked slowly upstairs along the stairs. Just as they were about to enter the room, the wife pointed to the opposite door and asked Jack to sleep in another room. Jack had no choice but to go back to the room alone. When Laurel was undressing, Jack, hiding in the dark, startled her. It turned out that Jack just hoped his wife could help him shave off his messy beard. Laurel let out a long sigh of relief, but as she was shaving Jack's beard, the distance between them grew closer. Jack's hand unconsciously moved slowly upward from Laurel's graceful figure. At this moment, both of them held their breath. Laurel's razor was resting on Jack's neck. The suffocating tension made Jack have to stop what he was doing. The next day, Oren came to find Laurel. He hoped she would divorce Jack and fulfill her promise to marry him, but he was firmly rejected by Laurel.
He's my husband, and he's come home. I know that you're hurting, and I wish to God that I was not the cause of it. But we weren't married yet.
On the other hand, Jack's son accidentally found that their old dog, which had been fine yesterday, died strangely while playing. He sat on the ground sadly and refused to leave for a long time. At this time, Jack was riding a horse and checking the surrounding farm. He was extremely disappointed by the scene of utterly destitute in front of him, so Jack vented all his anger on the cage on the ground. But when Jack was lost and thought about the barren soil, Oren came to the door, just to let Jack know that he had taken care of his wife, son and farm during the years he was away.
Look, I know what you've done around here, and I appreciate it. What I've done, I haven't done for you. She's made her choice.
No, she had no choice.
You know, if it'd gone the other way, she wanted you, I don't think I would have hung around here, watched.
Then you never were one to hang around with.
In response to Jack's questioning, Laurel explained that she had promised Oren that if Jack had not returned by next year, she would remarry him. But the more jealous Jack was, the happier Laurel felt inside. This proved that Jack still loved her. It turned out that before Jack left home, he often treated Laurel coldly and even beat her up every time he got drunk. And the changes shown by Jack this time gradually made Laurel let go of her guard. With their mutual teasing, their relationship gradually warmed up. Finally, on this quiet and warm night, with the right atmosphere, they gave themselves to each other without reservation. The next day, Jack took his son in a carriage to the town to buy shoes. The shoe store owner was shocked to find that Jack's feet were much smaller than before. While they were wondering, Jack suddenly got up excitedly. He told his son that he had discovered a huge business opportunity. So Jack wasted no time in summoning everyone, trying to lead them to plant tobacco, because at this time in the United States, the value of tobacco had already been several times higher than that of gold. In order to dispel everyone's doubts, Jack put forward a bold idea. He decided to divide the cultivated land of his farm for them to plant, and they would get a 50% share when harvesting. When everyone saved enough money, they could buy out the cultivated land from Jack, and Jack could also use this to repay the bank loans and interest. But at this time, Oren raised an objection. After looking at his wife, Jack put forward an incredible plan. He proposed that everyone present take out and sell their valuable things, which was equivalent to a crowdfunding method. Jack would provide the farmland, and they would provide the funds. However, in their view, this was simply risking all their possessions. Laurel saw everyone's concerns and stood up decisively.
Well, I got a ruby brooch worth $1,000. It's been in my family for 100 years, but I can't eat it, and neither can my family. Now, anybody got a better idea than Jack's? I sure like to keep my brooch. Now, maybe y'all are thinking that I'm just doing this because he's my husband, but you're wrong. This is not just some idea to put cash back in Jack Summersby's pocket. This is for all of us.
With Laurel's help, everyone took out their family savings. Full of hope, they reached a cooperation with Jack in black and white. Soon, Jack filled a whole cart with the items raised through crowdfunding, carrying the expectations of the whole village. He set out on a journey of hope. Then everyone first prepared the land and made all preparations in an orderly manner. During this period, Laurel was under enormous pressure, because they were all worried that Jack would abscond with the money, but Laurel always believed that Jack would not do such a thing. Fortunately, Jack lived up to Laurel's trust in him. Looking at the tobacco seeds in her hand, Laurel kept kissing Jack to express her love for him. Then, under the gaze of everyone, they mixed this packet of seeds representing hope into the mud and quickly sowed them into every inch of land. Their intimate behavior was a perfect match. With the efforts of everyone, the preliminary work was all completed in an orderly manner. After a period of time, the seeds had slowly grown vigorously, and everything was developing in a good direction. The two of them lived a life of being inseparable every day. Unexpectedly, one day, Laurel fainted in the field without warning. After a careful examination by the doctor, it turned out that Laurel was already pregnant with a second child. They were overjoyed. Just as they were looking forward to a bright future, bad news came one after another. It was seen that the tobacco trees were full of these swan larvae. If they were not dealt with in time, all their efforts would be in vain. At the same time, 3 foreigners walked over from not far away. Laurel was shocked to find that Jack was having a dispute with 3 strange men. Under Jack's threat, the 3 men finally left reluctantly. Laurel was terrified, so she found Jack to get to the bottom of it. But Jack kept silent, only saying that now he was full of thoughts on how to deal with the swan larvae and had no mind to consider other things. This conversation finally ended unhappily. Coincidentally, Oren, who was feeling depressed, accidentally heard the conversation of the 3 foreigners, so Oren struck up a conversation with them, trying to get more information from their mouths. When Jack was overwhelmed by these larvae, Oren came to the door with a bucket of unknown liquid. He scooped up a pot and sprinkled a circle around the roots of the trees. It turned out that these liquids were carefully prepared and could effectively prevent pests from invading. Jack was extremely grateful for this, but Oren seemed to have learned some unknown secret about Jack. Then, like a victor, Oren found Laurel. Oren told Laurel that her husband was not the real Jack, but an impostor who looked like Jack. Later, Laurel questioned Jack, and the two had a fierce argument because of this. Seeing Laurel's almost crazy state, Jack had to retreat, but when they were about to go to bed, Laurel accidentally heard a strange noise from her son's room. She found Jack patiently telling a story to their son. Perhaps her excessive behavior towards Jack earlier made her feel guilty, so Laurel slowly walked into the room and gave Jack a smile, as if approving of his bedtime story. Laurel looked at Jack affectionately. Maybe it didn't matter who he was. What mattered was that he was good to her and their son. The next day, Jack was concentrating on renovating the warehouse.
Kill that dog, didn't you? Poor old Jethro. He knew you for a stranger. Be who you are, I'm gonna burn this place down.
I'm a man she wanted.
You're a liar. You're a liar, and you're a thief is what you are.
To prevent Oren from doing something extreme, Jack took the initiative, but the torch accidentally fell down and instantly ignited the dry straw. Fortunately, Jack put out the fire in time, but Oren still wouldn't let it go. The two wrestled together. Just then, Jack's son came to report and brought him good news. They finally ended the fight. Jack rushed home and looked at his weak wife, feeling both pain and happiness in his heart. With the arrival of the second baby, their relationship became stronger. Jack named their daughter after Laurel's mother. At this moment, Jack felt unprecedented happiness. Plus, the pest disaster was completely cured. Like 2 good things happening at once, Jack was so happy that he ran wildly in the field like a child. Regardless of everything, soon, their tobacco crop had a huge harvest, and every farmer made a lot of money. Everyone gathered together excitedly, discussing how to spend the money. A few days later, Jack and his wife held a baptism ceremony for their daughter, and almost everyone in the town came to witness it. Suddenly, the arrival of 2 police officers broke the joy.
Federal Marshals, Mr. Summersby, for the murder of Mr. Charles Conklin in Jackson, Mississippi.
Facing the accusation, Laurel only hoped that Jack would tell her the truth. If Jack was innocent, Laurel would accompany him to court until his name was cleared. Many residents of the town also came to support him voluntarily. They would act as Jack's monitors and supporters. It can be seen how tall Jack's image was in their hearts. On the day of the trial, The small courtroom was packed. As the judge banged his gavel heavily on the table, the trial officially began. The prosecution lawyer built a tight logical chain with irrefutable evidence and called on-site witnesses as strong evidence. Facing this series of accusations, Jack was speechless and could only let the other side attack freely. During the recess, Orrin found Laurel and gave her advice. As long as she agreed to Orrin's conditions, he could keep Jack safe.
How?
So Laurel immediately found Jack and asked him again about his true identity, but Jack always insisted that he was Laurel's husband.
What'd I do?
You stubborn fool. I'm not gonna let you do this.
Then Laurel found Orrin and agreed to all his conditions. Laurel was willing to do anything to save her lover. Laurel appeared as a defense witness, and Jack looked completely disbelieving.
Could you please point your husband out to the court?
No, I cannot, because my husband is not in this room.
Laurel's words caused an uproar. Even the prosecution lawyer was shocked. If they could prove that Jack was an impostor, it would mean he hadn't committed murder and would be acquitted.
When we were together in a private way, I knew it wasn't Jack. A woman would know her own husband, Your Honor.
Well, I'm sure most husbands would like to think so, Mrs. Summersby.
But there were signs anyone could notice if they had a mind to. For instance, Mr. Meade, our shoemaker, fit him for a pair of boots and saw that his foot was 2 sizes smaller than Jack's.
Got them templates mixed up. That's
However, an even more major witness was yet to come. It was the man who had been driven away by Jack with a knife on the farm. He said Jack's real name was Horace and accused Horace of being a fraud.
Well, he was the school teacher in Redthorn for a short while. He taught my children for a year or so.
Please continue, Mr. Folsom.
Well, I don't know where he come from, but he kind of sweet-talked his way into the job. He knew a lot of fancy stuff and Greek writing and all. Anyhow, he talked us into some scheme to build a new schoolhouse. We gave him everything we had and then some. More than $1,200. He run off with every cent.
So, Mr. Folsom, are you quite sure that this man is Horace Townsend?
Oh, I'm sure. There's a whole bunch of folks in Clark County be pleased to see Yellow Horace Townsend in jail.
Thank you, Mr. Folsom. Your Honor.
Heard he'd moved on south and got some girl in the family way and ran out on her, too. Joined the army, ran out on them. That's why they call him Yellow Horace. At Sharpsburg, when our boys were in a bad fix, he ran out and left him to it. Heard the Yankees found him hiding behind the bushes. We lost track of him after that. But I knew him as soon as I saw him.
So what you're saying is
What I'm
that-
saying is that man is a liar, a thief, and a deserter. And his name is Horace Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Folsom. Your Honor.
Now that the evidence was conclusive, just as the judge was about to release him, Jack stood up. He always insisted that he was Jack, not Horace as others said. Laurel didn't understand why Jack was doing this, willing to die rather than admit his true identity. Laurel finally understood Jack's intention. He did this to protect Laurel and the children's reputation. Jack didn't want to bear the stigma of being a fraud. The judge sentenced Jack to murder, and he would soon be hanged. In Jack's last moments, Laurel stayed by his side. Seeing that the situation couldn't be changed, Laurel only hoped that Jack would tell her the truth.
I knew Horace Townsend very well. Everything they said about him in the courtroom there, it was true. I hated the bastard. The only piece of luck he ever had was being locked up. Some man who looked just like him. Could have been brothers. Probably were. Guess after spending 4 years in that cell together, they knew everything there was to know about each other. Anyway, he's dead now.
Who?
Horace.
But you didn't kill him.
No. got stabbed. The night that he killed Conklin.
It didn't matter who the man in front of her was anymore. Laurel only knew that she had fallen deeply in love with him. At this moment, time seemed to freeze into an endless abyss. Every second that passed cut their hearts like a blade. They both tried to find some comfort in each other's eyes but found the same reluctance and helplessness there. Before leaving, Laurel put a clean shirt on Jack. Jack's hands were already too shaky to take care of himself. In full view of the public, Jack's hands were tied behind his back, and he slowly walked to the gallows. After the priest finished hearing Jack's confession, the execution was about to begin. The crowd below was already in tears, but no matter how he looked, he couldn't find Laurel. Finally, Jack could leave without any worries. A smile appeared on his face to encourage Laurel to live well. In the days that followed, because Jack had led them to become wealthy, everyone was grateful. Those who had money contributed money, and those who had strength contributed strength to help Laurel repair the house. And Laurel did not choose Oren. She alone took on the responsibility of raising the two children and always stayed by Jack's side. I'm a movie enthusiast. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.